Testing 1, 2, 3. If you have my number, you can call me today. Okay, you can be on the air. I don't know that YouTube is really cranking it down. I got to do. I just need a handful of users on my my Odyssey page. So we do the Lord's Prayer, boy. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, yours now forever. And your Son, who sacrificed himself on the cross, defeating Satan for the second time, our Lord, our Savior, our King, Jesus Christ, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Had a tough time getting a socket today, people. Sorry. Please subscribe to my Odyssey page, Odyssey. Okay. Um, and I do love your support. Um, anyway. Um, we're not going to delve into too much, but we're going to delve into much. People don't seem, I get tremendous amounts of hate. No. Read this. This is John. This is a John. And John 1:12. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name. So it's important. John saw Jesus coming towards him to behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Jesus is our Passover lamb who willingly took the punishment we deserve, right? It's 1 Corinthians 5:7. God made him to, you know, he you see, this is what people don't understand. The Son of God is the only one that can do this. God can't do this. Why? God can't sin. God's perfect. By definition, God can't go to hell because hell is where God is not. So only the Son of God, okay, could have done this. While God, while the Son of God was the divine seed of our Creator, right? He could have sinned. He didn't, but he could have. That's the entire thing. Because he could have, he was the perfect sacrifice to where that he could take our entire sin debt on upon himself. Where God couldn't even bear that, right? God couldn't even look at him. See, not saying before, I'm not saying after, I'm saying here. Okay. So then Jesus could go to hell with our sin debt. That's the entire whole thing. See? He wasn't perfect to where he could cut wood to the atomic level of the exact same amount of atoms. No, he was perfect because he never sinned. That's the whole thing. Now he could have. That's also the thing. See, he couldn't take our sin debt on if he's God walking among us because God can't sin. I'm not saying that he's not with the Father now. I'm not saying about the Holy Trinity. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to explain to you people the tremendous sacrifice that God made and love that he did for us. There's no other reason Jesus is here except for us. It's a way, it's a path to us. God created Jesus here incarnate on a planet for our salvation. That's incredible. It's hard. It's hard to comprehend. Remember, each time he did miracles, Jesus did not do the miracles. His Father did the miracles. But he said also that we could do the same things that he was doing. The Holy Spirit definitely was in him, definitely, but he's the conduit, the channel. He thanks his Father. He even begs his Father, is on, please, Father, forgive them. They knew not what they do. I don't know the exact. It doesn't matter, but the essence of the meaning is there. And I say to you this: this Constitution, this Bill of Rights, is Lucifer's hinge pin. He has to. We are the last place on Earth, which is essentially defined by law, that our rights come from a divine creator. And that is the entire difference between us and all these other things, because since they have no God defined, thus those rights come from the state and thus they can be taken away, which at a whim they are. There's a group in Russia, good Leonid Frez, the lead singer is a Ukrainian. He was called up to fight. He's not with them. He is, yeah. People don't understand what's really going on. Okay. But if you think that this is Trump's plan, you're absolutely incorrect. This is a Charlie Indiana Alpha operation. It's been so since day one. The Mr. Wonderful is a Charlie Indiana Alpha creation. This is a Charlie Indiana Alpha. The Charlie Oscar Utah Paul is no different. The same people pulling the strings that killed Juliet Frank Kilo. No difference. Same people that killed Romeo Juliet Kilo. No difference. Same people who tried to assassinate President Romeo. Same people who killed John Lennon, believe it or not. Mhm. Yeah. You have no idea of the types of things that I know, and they don't want you to know. It's public. Trump released records that proves all the way back to Juliet Frank Kilo was talking about the Greys. He was talking about other things as well. Why don't they want you to know? What are they trying to do? My father had a sighting in 1956. The same. Now you're gonna say, well, no, it wasn't military technology. It's exactly the same type of spacecraft that this captain in 2003 saw, that this commander in 2013 saw, that the Navy hood films show. And I'm not saying that. I think that's just one species. I'm saying that there's many. I'm saying that some of them don't have our best interests. I'm saying that some of them do. I would say probably more don't. I would say that the battle out there is no different than the battle here. That's my opinion. I can't prove it. Nope. But I do know that the astronauts, including Neil Armstrong, and those tapes were not lost. 2 minutes of conversations. Yeah, he saw this is the conspiracy. The conspiracy is not that we didn't go to the moon. We went to the moon. The conspiracy is what every single astronaut saw. Hmm. That's the conspiracy. Everybody's like, "Well, we derived our tech from it and whatever." Our tech. I had this argument with my cousin the other day. It's insane. Our tech. 47 years we haven't done crap. Don't give me this. This stuff that you're seeing right here, this is us. This is software. This is soft. This is a cheat. Yes, okay, circuits have gotten smaller, but the quantum tunneling effect was hit in 1987. 1987, we got down to the PO and said, "Well, that's it. Can't really, yeah, no, no." The difference between a system that works with electrons and a system that works with photons, the difference between those two systems is like it's even greater than the difference between vacuum tubes and IC linear chips. I mean, think about it, 1957 to 1970, oh, I would say 75, 76. We'll just go 20 years, 77. I mean, look at the innovation and technology from that period of time. That 20 years. You went from ENIAC vacuum tubes, computer systems that literally took up 3,000 square feet and needed another 5,000 square feet in order to support that 2,000 square feet in both air conditioning and power and everything else. What changed that? I know what changed that. I was part of it. You had five, basically AG5 computer systems. They were the size of a Samsonite briefcase. They basically had the computing power of an IBM 360, but they had specific primers, specific demands of that system. You needed five of them. and you needed them to be able to have the power of an IBM 360, and you also needed them to each run only on 15 amps, basically the power of a coffee pot. Okay, you needed to have a whole different type of operating system that literally would not run things the way a typical operating system does. An operating system that cannot crash, an operating system that can still maintain its job even when it's fully struck by lightning. Apollo 12, by the way. Okay. And a computer system, you mean when the whole command module blows up? I mean, incredible, incredible stuff. Now, why? You're saying, okay, so let's just talk about one of these computers, Bob. Why did it have to be the size of a Samsonite briefcase, and why did only? I'm glad you asked that question. The reason why is because for every single pound that you have to go to the moon with, you needed 10,000 pounds of fuel and oxidizer. Okay, we weren't using a solid fuel rocket, which has the fuel and oxidizer in it. Okay, it was very important to use a liquid fuel system to which that so they could modify the engines and adjust the throttling, but also shut them the heck off. Because you're talking about a system that's putting out 7.5 million pounds of thrust. It's burning an Olympic size pool of fuel and oxidizer literally every second. It's an insane thing. The F1 engine is unbelievable. They can't make it today. You're gonna say, "What? They got the blueprints, right, Bob?" Well, they have the blueprints, but they don't have a lot of the handwritten notes, and they also don't have the artisans of the skill to be able to do it. They can't do it. Nope. That those people have long since died, and because you have to understand of the types of construction techniques that they had at the time. Literally, each engine was an entity unto itself. Little fine tune adjustments. Now, what Elon Musk has done with his SpaceX program and stuff, he's basically taken that design and he has modified it to which that he's made it cheaper and everything can run with computer manufacturing, even though um, it might not put out as much power for the size because it's not fine tuned, but it can be mass produced cheaper, and thus is more efficient in that respects. And people don't understand that. But I get back to that whole thing. So you needed this computer system. Why? They determined a long time ago that we're talking insane tolerances of things. So you had to have a computer system to do this because everything was down to the millisecond. Okay, and there's just no way that human beings can deal with that. So that's the primer. That's where you get innovation. That's where and I just showed another person the brilliance of JFK, the brilliance of that moon speech. In 1961 at Rice University, that speech, you could just take it and play it today because that speech is exactly what we need today. No different. Because what did he say? He says, could that goal will bring the best out of mankind what we have to do. He knew that there'd be incredible spin-offs, there'd be incredible innovations that you would never develop, you would never get. Like I said, you would never get this. Why would you get this? What would be the need to make such compact circuitry? What would be the need to do that? This is all derived from basically that 10 years of innovation. And then the refinement of that 10 years of innovation to say 77, which gave you the outcome of that, which is the entire personal computer industry. But unlike that, because we didn't continue, why? Because the powers that be don't want us to continue. They don't want that. Remember, with also that innovation, you have innovation in everything. You have innovation in thought, you have innovation in energy, that's freedom. You have innovation in complex systems and whatnot. And you also have an innovation that's going to take us and move us throughout the known solar system. We would have been an interplanetary species well on our way to being an um, um, uh, you know, other solar system species by now. I would say the first starships would be working by now, but that's way against what these entities want. Okay, they we haven't done anything in 47 years. I mean, I had to, sure, oil's not responsible for global warming, whatever, but it is an inefficient petrochemical device. Fantastic stepping stone, got us to the moon, all that other kind of stuff. But really, in 71, the premise should have been there saying, hey, we need to find something else. We need find something else that's cheaper, that's more abundant, that's renewable to a sense, nuclear, that's everything that this is not, and then doesn't have those so-called ties in the Middle East. Now we have innovations and whatnot, and so and so, and but no, the energy still extreme. It's ridiculous. We should not have this whole thing again. The whole reason why Trump was basically getting us energy independent was to develop the next the next energy. The rest of the world can be on whatever, but he wanted to develop the next thing. The problem he had, he didn't vocalize enough what the real problems are, what the real threats are that unite society, including aliens. I don't believe that most of them have our best interest involved. I don't believe that. No. Um I don't believe that a lot of things have our best interest involved. And I believe that human beings, for the most part, are 100% corruptible. And that's another problem. And they are selfish. They worry about themselves, aka the Supreme Court. Did they have faith in God? When they took their oath, you're standing there taking your oath before God. So does that mean when they killed that federal judge's husband and they made the son or reverse whatever it's definitely a notification. It was a notification to the Supreme Court to which that Barrett and whatever oh crap we you took that oath, so thus you must rely on God. You have to rely on God that God is going. You're going to stand there and maintain the oath, and God's going to cover your back. He's going to cover your six. Oh, nothing happens here without. Believe me, if God doesn't want it not to happen, it's not going to happen. That's the kind of faith you have to have. I mean, I went I used the whole thing with my son. My you're like, "Oh, Bob, you had to" look, I had to do what I had to do. I prayed about it, but there was no question on earth that my son needed my help, and he did not ask me for anything like that since my stroke. So this was a big thing. Was I up to making the trip down to Florida with the trip? No. I knew I could do most of it, but there was I and it was I mean, I was up from 5:30 in the morning to 2:30. I got into Jacksonville. My plan was to leave his house in Maryland all packed up at 8:30, and I'd be in Jacksonville, 9 o'clock. I could do that. That's not what happened. We had to be babysitters. Everything was done. We didn't leave Maryland till 12:30. I I I I'm on the road and I'm like, and I can only do 60 because I got 27,000 pounds. My wife doesn't want to drive because she doesn't feel comfortable driving with that. It's psychology. The thing handles great, okay, but it doesn't matter. So I knew it was up to me. Believe me, God made up the slack, right? No question. There's no way I could have done that. I would have been hard to do it before I had my stroke. Made it down to Jacksonville, found the parking spot right next to the hotel. Exactly what it describes or what I saw. We stayed there for a day before we had to leave again, and had a great time. And then the next day it took us 10 hours to get to my son's new place in Pensacola. 10 hours. Took him 2 days to 3 days really to drive there, and everything that the Navy shipped was broken, dirty, damaged. Everything that I shipped, I mean, well, I took because he packed up my van and also my car trailer was intact. Nothing. Everything was exactly the way he did it. So it was extremely important. And I hope you pray for him to get the instructor thing at Maryland Pax River to become a test pilot instructor because then I'll be doing that same trip again. So I'd much rather do that. Anyway, um, um, Liz, the Sandra Gearhart, there's many Earths. Okay, the thing is that it's above my pay grade of what's going to happen, and but I do know it's going to happen, and there'll be the second coming. But unfortunately, it's going to have to come after all this other crap has to come. That's that's written. Have you heard what's in the boosters? What do you refer? I haven't taken any. Um, it's kind of superfluous to take it because it's like taking a flu shot that's not designed for the flu that's actually out there. So I had to take my original things. I explained that to you. I wasn't, and for me, I there was no option. I needed to be helpful to my son. So that's it. I've since had COVID. Um, the only thing that was unpleasant was a sore throat, to be honest with you. And the other thing, I did lose my sense of taste. That was very weird. It was a bad sore throat. I'm not gonna tell you it was, couldn't talk. Um, yeah, they don't need that, Jim. No, they get. I mean, 200 Michael Utah Lima Echo Sierra shows that this thing they already have this. People are willingly using it. Every single. It's never off. You can shut it off, but it's not off. There's no way to disconnect the battery. If you don't think that they do facial recognition, they have CCD, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Of course, they know from your credit cards, from your phone, from your devices. Yep, absolutely. I mean, now if I wrap this up in aluminum foil, well, even if it's off, they can't do anything. Um, no, no. Yes and no. I went through a whole thing on this. Yes, if you're living by a water tower and you're within 300 feet of it, and they just put 5G up on that, you're basically a bag of popcorn, microwave popcorn. So, even though that doesn't fall within the scale of ionization energy, I think it does. I think that we're electric beings, and I think that it's affecting us biologically. This is not a 5G phone. I did not buy a 5G phone on purpose. Um, but I don't sleep with those things by my head. Okay, no. Um, yeah, Rick was getting medical treatment. Well, that's of course good. Might be TMI. No, same reason. I have an Odyssey app. Odyssey's blockchain. I read the source code. And if I can't get the source code, I look at the actual program and see what it's doing. And I have the ability and tools to be able to run that SDK and to simulate it on a system that actually has that can create. I'll show you what. Yes, that can create this hardware artificially, but it's real to the program. So thus, I can see exactly what it's doing, and then from there, I've modified the kernel to which that um, I don't know if you realize this. I'm an Apple Core system. I've been on the thing from day one, so um, I can do things that a lot of you guys can't do. That's why I never had Twitter. Why you think there's many Earths? I don't think there's many Earths. I think there's only one Earth. There's only one you. However, okay, as an astronomical body, Earth is not very special. The sun is not very special. If you look at this Milky Way galaxy alone, I would say there's probably, oh, I don't know, in all this, maybe 20, 50,000 or something like that. Now, are they Earth like us? No, we're unique. And obviously, there's something unique about us because these aliens, they've been visiting us for the thousands and thousands of years. So obviously, what's unique? But the biology, no. The technology, no. Believe it or not, what might be unique among us is our art. Okay. We might be the bootleg central capital of entertainment for the entire galaxy, for all I know. I mean, I'm just saying. Um, that's the unique thing about us. Um, you could say that we're, you know, who knows? But it's not the biology. First of all, I don't believe that we originated here. The scientifically comes down to six people and six dogs. Yeah, it's true. So the so-called reptilians, we might, be the ones. They were probably here originally, and something happened a long time ago. Something happened in the solar system that was like really bad enough to break the moon of Mars in two, bad enough to obliterate a planet between made the asteroid belt, bad enough to kick Uranus and put it on its ass on its side. Couldn't have been a supernova because that would have wiped out everything. It couldn't have been a micronova because that's just like a thousand CMEs. So it had to be something bigger than that. Could have been a war, could have been whatever. But God saw to it that, we made it here, but we didn't come from here. That's my opinion. Um, well, definitely there's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's that, the Lucifer. I mean, I was talking to my friend about that also, another brother, Rick, and we were commenting on how God put such a circuit into evil, such stupidity. I mean, let's go back. I mean, here's Lucifer's God's favorite angel, stuff like this. But because of the green-eyed monster, I mean, he sees everything. He goes to the other end. Okay, guys, had enough of this. We're gonna take over this joint. That's gonna. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was an angel too that said, "Hey, Luce, um, we just watched our creator just like create everything, before they created us and stuff. This is not a good idea." Yeah, just say it. What could go wrong? So yeah, so that's not gonna end well. And Lucifer and his followers. I mean, he must have been the invention of the first car salesman. He convinced these so-called divine beings to join him to overthrow God. Think about it; it's kind of stupid. What could go wrong? Ah, that's kind of Rick. That's kind of insulting, insulting lightning. So you know, I mean, and what he's doing now after, and that's the other thing. I mean, so he's a son of God. Scripture. Ezekiel. I mean, proof of that is when the temptation of Christ, he's throwing is written. I mean, he's throwing scripture at Jesus, and Jesus is just throwing it back to him in spades, and it's just making him more pissed off. But I mean, if you understand it, you're like, you should not let anything happen to the Son of God. He's your, he's the salvation of us. I don't know how many billions and billions and billions of souls that Jesus saves. Only God knows, but it doesn't matter. Even if he saves one, that's not a good thing, right? I'm talking about for Lucifer, kind of. So you don't want anything to happen to him, but nope. On that cross, Jesus defeats Satan the second time. Okay, He was defeated in heaven, and he's defeated on the cross. And that's our salvation. So, yeah, that's what hate does. Hate basically destroys your being of logic. It destroys you. I mean, and isn't it the truth? I mean, you and I, we sit back and watch the news on some of these stupid stories, and we see the brilliance of some of these crimes, but then we're like, but that's so stupid because if they applied themselves in a legitimate enterprise, it would be 100 factor more profitable for them, and it would still be enjoying their fruits of their labors. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Um, I don't. I think that there's they call them UAPs, and the reason why they did it is because they see that they can move between the atmosphere and water seamlessly. I put it to you, if you, I took aerospace engineering. Um, that's what was my major. Anyway, um, as a fluid, there's no difference between the air and water. They're both fluids. The only difference is in density. That's it. Thus, you need the same. It's the same criteria. Okay. A technology, a civilization that could get from, say, even if they came from Alpha Centauri, which is 4.5 trillion miles away, um, you'd have to be able to solve a lot of problems. You'd have to have a whole different type of metallurgy. You'd have to have a whole different type of power. You'd have to whole different type of computer. You'd whole different type of things. And obviously, if you could do that, there's absolutely no problem between going from an atmosphere to water because I mean you're going from a vacuum of space, which is not really a vacuum. There's a lot of crap in space to but compared to the density of our atmosphere, the low atmosphere near sea level compared to the rarefied up at the stratosphere, it's night and day. Compared to that, to even 300 feet, it's 90 atmospheres. So, you're talking, but again, they would have to, going that, they'd have to be able to conquer a lot of things technologically. Yeah. I've had experience with these things. I've known about them for a long time. Um, I really didn't talk about it except for my friends and stuff because people thought you were nuts. But I would always say to them, "Look at the logistics," and they're like, "What?" I said, "You don't need 8 trucks. You don't need some 300 men. 3DC3s. Look, you can look this up. 3DC3s, two hangars to go and store a weather balloon with stuff on it, whatever top secret it is, that was launched by two guys in a jeep. And then there's actual physical proof. There is a letter that this general is holding that if you Photoshop it, you'll see it says the spacecraft and the three bodies and blah, blah, blah. No offense, but in the photograph. Of course, they did not have the technology at the time to be able to do that. But in the 70s, I did, and I did. And there it was, plain as day. Now, I knew that it was real because of the fact that, like I said, on my father's deathbed. And I also knew because he also told me about, I heard this also of phrases that I used to record all the Apollo missions on cassette tape. Right from my TV, I had a jack and I would record the audio. And there were things that they were saying which I just couldn't understand. But later on, I figured out what they were saying. So yes, they were saying that, hey, these guys are watching us, and hey, we're not alone. Neil Armstrong said that before he did that. He commented on there's people watching us, not people, but yeah. So they were just given orders, just like my father. So my father was given an order. Well, you didn't, you ordered not to talk about it, not to say blah 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 blah. He did, and he did. He didn't. He said it the day, literally hours before he died. He died on a Saturday, and Friday he told me. So I would say what are they gonna do to him? Okay. Yeah, well, that's like Elon Musk. Elon Musk believes that we are a simulation run by aliens. Um, I need to get to him because he's right about a lot of things. At least he's trying to do good, but he's wrong about his vision of God, and he doesn't understand what this place really is. And I mean this place. I mean the whole freaking shebang, the whole meatloaf, as it were. Right. That's the thing about the so-called physicists, many universes. Yes, there's, I don't know, every single slice of that meatloaf that we're in, which is 1/10 to the 1/25th, and there's nothing between those slices. They're a universe onto themselves. I mean, stuff, the sun, and all that old crap. I mean, yeah, and a version of us. It's a specific locality, but physically, it's a universe that we're traveling through, right? We're traveling through that meatloaf. That's the way it works. Um, but there's only one meatloaf. And if you went back in time, and I'm not saying you didn't, um, you always went back in time. Yes, it's the first time, just like this, the first time for you now. When you're moving forward in time, it's the first time. And if you built the device that took you back in time, it's the first time for you. But you're incorporated either way, which means you're incorporated to everything you did before, as well as you're incorporated to everything you're doing now. The future already exists. I know it's kind of weird, isn't it? Why do you wear headphones? Um, Number one, I this way it's quiet. Number two, if I want to, I can monitor audio to make sure this is working properly. But I also have this. This is working like a cell phone. Okay, and you'll see in the upper corner it says LTE. Okay, that's very important. And the reason why it's important is because then I can see exactly what you see to make sure that my transmission is working properly. I mean, there are times I had John here at times, and I was using my microphone where I couldn't monitor with this, so you know, but he was using this, and then sometimes if you guys know my number, you want to be on the air, or you just want to text me questions that you don't might want the live people to see, whatever. I will definitely do that. If you join me, I'm up to 418. So I just need to get to 500. I can do two shows a day. One show will be on there on my Odyssey channel that will be uncensored. Wow, right? You know, right now, our you could say our friend John is in San Bias of the Panama Island chain. A Luciferian globalist. Did you see him double 666 and you met? Um, that's not. But then he'd be doing what you know um, others are doing. He'd be doing what Bias is doing, what Bill Gates is doing. He'd be doing a lot of. Why would he be fighting? You know, I'm not. I don't. That could be just disinformation that's used against him. So I'm not saying he's saved or not saved either way. He hasn't professed it. He hasn't said the word Jesus. That's the thing. So, you know, but I don't know. I can't make that statement. But from what I've seen, look, I was reserved about it. I didn't know. But again, he's trying to do things that are good, at least, and protect. Might not agree with everything he's doing, but a lot of things are being missed. Like that whole neural thing, that's not for everybody. So he's trying to go. No, he was inspired by disabled vets and other people who are quadriplegic, and he sees that their mind is whole, but they have no way of communicating to the body. So, just no different than a cochlear implant, no different than an optical for people who can see, you know. Now, those technologies, there's no question that others have eyes on that to turn it into bad evil, just like my technologies were turned into evil. I don't think so, Sandra. I think that the Antichrist is going to be even slicker than that. Um, I think that the Antichrist is going to. I'm sure the Antichrist is here, but you also have to understand. I know about his history. I looked into it, and he came from nothing. He came from what made him is that he's smart, and at 12 years old, he wrote a program that sold a 500,000 copies. Unlike Bill Gates, who stole everything, the plagiarist from plagiarists. Unlike Jeff Bezos, who again exploited different types of things and who is exploiting illegals everywhere in the world to do his bidding. I mean, they're a product of the thing versus if you look at Elon's companies, he's got the highest wage, salary, technical teaching. I mean, you know, I'm saying you can't rush to judgment on that by these innuendo things. You have to look at the actual facts and things that you see firsthand. That's what you have to do. So you have to watch his lectures. You have to watch his things that he's trying to do. I mean, why develop an electric car company? Why? Because every single car you sell, you're getting 15 grand from the government. Not only you're getting the 15 grand, you're getting the purchase price from the actual individual. So it's an absolute no brainer. There was definitely a hole there. Ugh, no, again, said no. I he came from South Africa. How's that possible? No. So um, again, you can't judge the son by his father, right? I'm not saying I'm not saying that my mother is not that, right? Look what she did to me. Who would do that to her son? Take his money, take his insurance money, take his social security, do that, kid, I'm living out of a car. I'm homeless. 41 years ago, I'm homeless, living out of a car. Now, I had skills and things, but I'm just saying. Um, he's an agnostic. He is an atheist. That doesn't make him evil. It makes him a person who's not not enlightened. He needs to be. as Christians, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to teach people the gospel and teach people the word and teach people why and what's going on. Yeah, they took it down. They blocked it because these other people filed a copyright thing on it. So legal is legal. But at least you got to see it. I got it up there for, I don't know, had it up there for about a week. That's why when I post things on my Patreon, said if you're part of my Patreon crowd, people, Patreon, St. Paul Omni, you get to see a lot of things, a lot of stuff that you don't see here. You get to see all the videos that deleted off my YouTube channel, number one. You get to see videos that I made that are not on my never were on my YouTube channel. Um, well, um, I don't have a way of getting to them. So I'm gonna be on a radio show again next week. Um, I have a I've been asked to do a tour. Um, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I mean, you know, right now in my life, I'm not up to do well. I might take it upon myself because it's going to get a lot of popularity and they'll have a lot of other scientists on there, and we can answer a lot of questions in a one-on-one. Well, a crowd of people. Um, you know, but yeah, they took it down. They didn't take it. They blocked it because of copyright issues. So when they file things, we ought to see where legal. So if they file a copyright claim, then um, Rumble. I don't belong to Rumble. Um, I looked at it. I'm not saying anything bad, but I'm not going to invest and put time and effort into something that they can block. The reason why they blocked that was legal. That's a copyright thing. They couldn't technically block it, but they legally did it. Okay, there's a difference. We do everything legal. Um, there's no way fans of buts that what they were showing, what they were doing was real. The thing is that it's more complicated than you know. So it's not as simple as that, Sandra. No, not as simple. I would say they all lost money in the effort. But the problem is this: the problem is you're coming up to the midterm elections, which are again, everybody thinks it's going to be a red wave. Unfortunately, I don't hold such hope. I hope I'm wrong, but um, just in this state alone, you've had, and I'm not kidding. You've had since Obama's president, you've had at least 10 to 13 million new undocumented people, and there was already 23 million undocumented people. But they're documented because they get in the New York State, they get driver's licenses, and if you show up here, you get a $15,000 check, courtesy of New York and courtesy of us, and that's why our taxes keep going up. That's why there's all these charges tacked on to pay for that $15,000. So I mean, I'm going to vote for Zeldin. I think that he'll make a good governor. I mean, anything better, but I don't know. I don't think I just don't think my I'm going to go there, but I think that they're going to. I agree with Sandra 100% right there in that statement she just made. I mean, how are you supposed to defeat if you don't have a system with, like I said, that's based upon a technology that's no offense or buts. You have a proven technology that goes back to 1977, ATM technology. 1977. Everybody knows how to use an ATM. So you maintain that's the new part of the technology. The ATM aspect is the new part. You do your voting, it prints your ballot, you then take it, and it's got a barcode on it, and you go across the floor to the same scanner that you were filling the stupid thing up. But this time it's printed, so it's perfect. You read it, you make sure it's right and everything else. You give it to the guy, you put it into the machine, you scan it. Those two votes, okay, are going to be one vote when they meet. There is no way to cheat it. There's no way to fake it. There's no way to not make it so it's you. It's free to the customer because they get a dollar. I mean, there's all kinds of sub things that can be. I mean, you could have your Social Security check deposited on it. You could have any other payments. It could be your Medicare thing. It could be all kinds of things that eliminate so many costs to the government, printing checks and what. It could be that. Okay, it could make a lot. Do they want that? Answer: No. They don't. That's why they don't want IDs. They don't want that. It's illegal in New York to do that. You can't do that. They have a guy right there. I'm filling the thing out. I want to take a picture of my vote. They won't let you do it. Yeah, I was at the Hard Rock and they wouldn't let me take a picture. I mean, they let me take a picture of one. I have to. Um, I tip the dealers, but I make fun. I make a kind of a fun thing out of it. Where on my winning hands, I tipped them $2.50. Okay, they can't subdivide the 50 cents. That's why the 250 is there for a dollar bet because they pay you 3 to 2 for blackjack. So on the tip, they have to give you. I have this. I have this. I'll show it to you. Because I have a picture of it. And it's kind of funny, you know. At least it's fun. It's fun for me. Okay. I enjoy doing this because you see that's a perfect example. So you can see the original tip 250 on my blackjack. That's for the dealer, and then my bet is behind it. But the casino has to pay them $4. So they get the 250 plus they get the $4. Okay. So that's it's a kind of thing where I'm saying to them, and the deal loves it because they don't really get paid that much. At the Hard Rock, they actually do pretty good. It's a pretty they're pretty fair to the employees. And because of that they treat the employees really well. I I found that Hard Rock was extremely clean. The employees were good. So, but yeah, I take care of those people that way. Um, and I tip all wins, which means I had won the hand before that, so I had put up that tip. Um, and um, so it's a thing for me. It's fun. I make it fun for the dealer, as well as you know. But I don't gamble. That was another person who I think it was I mistook it. I don't know, but the thing was is that she seemed to be angry because I was at I got everything. I got a suite that was bigger than my first house. There's only 12 of them in existence at that Hard Rock. Um, Everything was comped. everything. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars worth of meals, and we're talking high end stuff. $350 bottles of champagne and $200 bottles of wine. And my 40th anniversary here, folks. I'm like, my wife's spa treatments and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's called 40 years. Well, it's worse, Rick. They've made agreements, the United Nations specifically, this whoever's ever pulling the strings to the Biden thing. I mean, they're basically they have sold us down the road. They're taking all that. Yeah, everybody's like, "Well, they can't find child formula." Yeah, why? They took it in trucks and transported it down to the Texas border. They're giving it to all the illegal aliens with their babies. They're coming across with babies. Where do you think all that formula is going? It's going to them. There's pallets and pallets and pallets of it down there. So yeah, and yeah, that's what this administration is doing. Okay. I mean, this both Republicans and Democrats just voted for $40 billion. That's on top of the basic another 24 billion dollars. The Russian budget for their entire military is $65 billion a year, and we've given that to the Ukraine. Okay, listen to me, people. I'm going to show you that what I'm saying is right and what they're saying X 22 is 1000% wrong. They and others, yeah. Where's all that going? Okay, we're not seeing that be reflected in what we're seeing. Okay, this is no different than the Uranium One deal. Okay, you have to remember that Putin was and his henchmen were in cahoots with the Obama thing. Was it Obama or was it the people pulling strings? You see what I'm saying? Okay. Remember, Mr. Wonderful is nothing more than a Charlie Indiana Alpha creation. Okay. They sought to the Charlie Oscar Utah pool. That was all executed by Charlie Indiana. And guess what? They put their tabs into everything to make all this happen. They're run by the Bravo Alpha November Kilo Echo Romeo Sierra people. Okay. They want this as the last hinge pin. Get rid of it, right? Get rid of it. What's the problem? The problem is, well, again, our specific constitution defines us with the Bill of Rights. That's the problem. What protects it? First and Second Amendment protect the rest of the amendments. Without first two, basically, without the Second Amendment, you don't have the first, and you're definitely not going to have the rest. They've sought to eliminate a lot of the firsts. They don't. Again, the first is pretty non-specific. It doesn't say that you have to be right. You could be a lying asswipe. You could be a lying whatever. Guess what? You have the right to be a Nazi as far as propaganda wise. Okay, an absolute ass wipe person. Okay, that's your. I mean, I saw this down in Georgia with my father in the '60s. I said, Dad, how can these people be here? These Nazis. I'm not kidding. And he said, that's they're allowed to be there, so nobody can tell me that I can't read this. And he literally said that to me, my father. I mean, again, I put to you Martin Luther King, who no, he was like having Father King, who used to come to our house. Very religious person. Another fellow brother, yeah, a Christian. Yeah, he was a Christian first, and then he was black second. But black from circumstances which I've gone into. Everybody's different. but his genome heritage, gave him the ability to deal with the sun on a a lower latitude than us. I mean, you put me into a tropics, I'm going to be dead if I don't have access to a lot of sunshade and a lot of sun product blocking. I'm going to get skin cancer. I'm going to die from heat stroke. It's not going to be good. Okay, if I don't have air conditioning, forget about it. Versus the other opposite way. You know, so my heritage of my people, obviously, resided north of the 40 latitude. Well, where does my heritage come from before 1631? It comes from England. If you look at England, that's in line with St. John's of Maine. The only reason why England is warm is because of the Gulf Stream. A lot of people, don't understand this. I mean, I go back to the Eskimos. I mean, you have a people who, I mean, a warm day for them in an igloo is 34, 36 degrees. That's their 75. So they have brown fat in their eyelids that allows them to be out without goggles, and temperatures down the money 70, which would make us blind, you and me, instantaneously, whether you're black, white, Indian, whatever, it doesn't matter, you're blind because our corneas are frozen. If we eat a liver that they eat, again, the black person is dead, I'm dead, the Indian guy, he's dead. They're not dead because their system can tolerate the huge doses of vitamin A that's in that liver. Why? That's the way they are. But if you give them a Wonder Loaf bread, they'll instantly become a diabetic number two person. These are facts. But they still have the same red blood. They've been genetically adapted for their specific reason that they you know they grew up in. That's just the way it is, people. That doesn't mean that they have less rights than you and me. It means that they've been adapted over eons for to to be. That's what the beauty of the human being is, to be pliable to those types of environmental change. I mean, it goes back to the talent. I mean, my son docked my boat very easily. He took on to doing things like this very, very easily. And the first time he ever went flying, he was 8 years old, and he flew that Cessna 172 like he's been doing it forever. Okay, I I was a good pilot. I'm not telling you I wasn't, but my father was helping me from the time that I was 5 years old. This kid gets into that thing and he flies it like, forget about it, like he's always been doing it. I mean, I never flew a plane like that for. I mean, no, no bound. Uh, I mean, my friend Brad couldn't believe it. It was his plane. He was just looking at me like Elmer Fudd. He, he, he was he was dumbfounded. And I believe that the genes, I'm not a biologist to understand, but I believe that certain talents are developed and they're passed from generation to generation, and they're developed more. I mean, you see prodigy in music, you see prodigies in all kinds. That's just the way it is. So I think that my son had a certain amount of talent, but like they say in a package, some assembly required and batteries are not put in. I had to encourage that development, but there's no question that the kid had as I mean he's way better than my father. My father was incredible. Um and my son's way better than that. I mean, not like a little bit. I mean, it's a lot better. So, and he's flying on my father's wings. When he was winged, they read the whole thing about my father. That's what they do by the law. They have to they read everything, all his accomplishments, the whole thing's name on the works, right? So it was a very proud moment for me, and to know that my father's wings are still flying high is incredible. And then my other guy, I mean, forget about it. I mean, like, he, my father-in-law was an insane crack shot. He was a waist gunner in a B-17, but more than he did all kinds of stuff. And my wife had that. Okay, she didn't aim. The first time I ever took a shoot, she wasn't aiming. She was feeling it in her gut, and yet she was shooting groups. She couldn't see what she was doing. She's got that. James has that. Bobby and I have to aim. Bobby went, look, he was on the Navy team, but trained by SEALs, but we have to aim. James does not have to aim. James is like on a whole nother level. He's got whatever that is. I don't know what it is. It's a gift, a gift that he inherited from his mother, that she inherited from her father. And James inherited a lot of things from me too, and my sons are extremely blessed. They're very lucky that they seem to have got both of the best qualities from myself and my wife. I mean, so they're very lucky. But that's how it works, and that's why abortion is so bad. You know, I mean, when people don't seem to talk, they're talking about all this other thing and they're yelling about it. The Democrats are yelling. I'm like, as a mathematician, you turn around and you say, okay, well, how many Einsteins do we get? How many Da Vinci's do we get? How many, how many we get? How many savants do we get? How many savants were killed as a so-called birth defect? How many Stephen Hawkins were killed as a so-called birth defect? And then you're killing their offspring. So that genome, that special thing, and that whole branch, that's terminated. So as a scientific thing, it's terrible. As a religion, it's beyond horrible. But you don't you mean how many Einsteins did we terminate? And one of those could have saved all kinds of things. Could have came up with the next whatever. Okay. That patent clerk back in 1905, he invented the atomic bomb. But he also invented atomic power. He also invented all the kinds of things. Think about it. I mean, you know, yeah, I have to. I said that to my wife. I have to aim. I mean, I used to shoot competitively. So when I did my multi-state, I have to redo my license again. But when I did my multi-state license, I shot perfect only because I've been doing that for 47 freaking years. So, you know, yeah, a lot of and I got written up twice because I kept um clearing and safetying my gun, which means I'm putting my gun into a safe condition with no magazine and no ammo in it before I holster it. That's what you have to do in an IPSC range. Okay. On this test, you're supposed to be in a gun battle. So no, you're supposed to put it away locked and cocked. And obviously, if I'm in a gun battle with a numbers 13 gang, I'm not going to put my gun away in my holster in a safety position. Okay. But IPSC range, you're thrown off with two violations. And I never got even one. Okay. Um, Before you get out of that position, that box, they have a circle for each position you are in the range that you shoot in competition, in implicit competition, okay? Or anything, sporting clays, ski trap. You're in a specific box. You cannot load. The gun has to be in a safe, cracked open position. If it's a pump, it has to have the chamber open, barrel down. Okay, I had a thing on my foot for my barrel. You have to do that. Okay, you cannot do anything until you get into that circle. Okay, then and only then can you put maximum 2 rounds into the gun. Can't put any more than 2 rounds into the gun. And an IPSC range, you're allowed to put in um, 5 rounds in certain shoots, 10 rounds in other shoots. It could be. It all depends on the specific shoot that you're on. Okay, but still only in that designated spot. Okay, and they have a person with a timer right over your shoulder, literally. And he's also a safety officer. And sometimes on some shoots, you have one guy that's running the clock and another guy that's looking for safety violations right there. With the multi-state test, you're in um, um, a kind of uh, uh, like Navy SEAL kind of environment, and you're moving from station to station. There's a guy with you, and he's doing the same thing. But you're supposed to be in, and you have to show proficiency in both hands. And I'm not against the test. I'm against of when I'm making my gun safe, you give me a violation. Just, just saying. Okay, it's kind of crazy, right? Yeah, in a battle, I'd be dead. So, but I would never make my gun safe in a battle. Just um, I mean, if Biden administration was concerned, or whoever is of life and death, like they keep saying about this boosters and everything else, um, uh, you look at what's killing the most people, and that is fentanyl. Yeah, and it's specifically taking out the best of people. Um, Unfortunately, my email address is the same, but what the problem is that um, Apple and others are taking all my emails and they're putting it into junk for people, and then they're taking away certain things. Okay, so um, and I didn't want to involve my server stuff or anything else with I no. So I have to keep that kind of clean because I need to get that those emails from those systems immediately because I'm still supporting those servers. So the best way to communicate with me is through my Patreon or through my well, basically my Patreon. I did set up an Odyssey thing. I mean that nobody's using, where you guys can talk freely with each other with no censorship. Nobody's using it. Max, you can believe male squirrels on my bird feeder. Come on, Maxie. Ooh. Oh, you were sheeping, Maxie. You were sheeping. He's got a dry nose. You were sheeping. He's got a new bed from Marvis. He loves it. Um, I don't know this for a fact at all. Sandra. I do know this. I know that a lot of COVID deaths are not COVID deaths. They're saying that as somebody's a COVID death that fell down the stairs and died because of A, if they test positive for anything of antibodies of the COVID thing, that oh, they died of COVID, or B, oh, they were home and they're home because of COVID. So they died because of COVID. Yeah, that's what's the Odyssey? It's an Odyssey. Oh, join my Patreon page, and you'll have all kinds of links to everything. Because I need that. This is giving me nothing. The financial support from my time comes from my Odyssey and comes from my Patreon. So patreon.com Bull Omni. It's really cheap. It's $5 a month. That's not a lot of money. And you even get a discount if you buy a whole year. So there you get links to this unbelievable things that nobody has on a. I'm not a doctor, Sandra, and I don't know, but I know that God is going to protect me because I had to do what I had to do. As I said many times, I am not a doctor. Okay, um, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and I had to. Okay, it's very simple. So I don't regret it because it changed the way my sons both perceive me, and it also did a fantastic thing that wasn't able to be done for my son. And like I said, um, he's reaping the profits many times over of my trip, and I'm going to do that trip again. Um, yeah, and it has everything. And I was telling people I set up Odyssey 3 years ago, and I was telling people then of the things that YouTube was attacking, go to my Odyssey channel because obviously there's information and the things that they were taking up. I mean, all the green agenda things are there. There's a tremendous amount of scientific things that are there. There's a tremendous amount of other things that are there. Um, and on my Patreon page, there's even more. So I want to, Jim, and I just need right now. I think I'm at 418. I will let you know exactly. Um, yeah, I'm at 418 followers on my Odyssey channel. 418. I need to get to 500. Okay, 500. That's what I need. So it's Odyssey, ODYSEE.com. Okay, and it's Balm. Just do a search for Balm, and you'll see my mug. And that's it. It's very easy to follow me. You just click. You get a. It's all free. Okay, you don't have to pay anything. It's not. But it's uncensored. Okay, that's what's important about it. It's uncensored. Because it's blockchain. That's why I wanted to put my efforts into that versus these other systems. I'm looking at censorship to what they can't do and what they can't take down. Now, like I said, we still follow the law. So, I mean, I stay legal and whatever, but I'm showing you things that are based on scientific fact and things that I say I believe in. I put I believe this. I'm not saying it's in the Bible. I believe that there was many Marys for all species. Okay, one Jesus, one divine Jesus, but many Marys through. This is a theory that I have. I'm not saying there's any proof of this. I'm saying that God's grace. Who am I just to get God's grace? His creation is unbelievable. So what's to say that these people don't have His divine grace as well? Okay, I'm not going to call that. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm saying it's a possibility. All I'm saying is God's grace is infinite, and I would assume that God loves everything He created, and He created everything for a reason. Okay. He obviously created Lucifer and he knew what Lucifer was. So obviously Lucifer is doing God's work. People, "Ah!" If you believe in God and you know that He is in the beginning and the end, you have to know that Lucifer is doing something, even though Lucifer doesn't really want to know that. He's doing why? Because this is a test. And a test you have to be able to fail to make it real. You have to. It's not like it's not an open it's an open book test. It's even the best kind of test. This life is an open book test. I mean, that's really great, really. I mean, open book. Okay, by the way, I want to see what kind of I keep showing this. That's the kind of Bible. Right? It's a great. I mean, well, I liked open book tests, but yeah, really, um, I liked practical things. I liked um, when somebody was testing me with a specific problem and I had to solve it. I'm still doing that today, but that's what I really love. Um, I God built me for that. That's the gift that He gave me. Um, I can see things and find solutions to them. And right now I'm stuck. My friend John was asking me the other day. He said to me, "How you making out with your photon processor?" I'm like, "I designed it. Unfortunately, I always design running systems that are running." Okay, you're like, "What are the?" I don't know how to IPL it. IPL is the initial program to start it. Are you ready for this? I think the system that's going to be designed to start it is going to be bigger than the system itself. That's what I'm finding. It's going to be even more complex. It's kind of like I'll use the analogy. My 7.3 diesel, the big diesel, it's 446, I think, 4 cubic inches, big engine, and the design of that really because it's simple rocker arms and two valves plus some other things like it's very simple design. It uses basically it's a Cat UE injector system, which is brilliant. That was designed by Caterpillar. International Harvester was paying to do that. What's in my truck is an International Harvester engine. Really, it's the same engine that was on my school bus when I was. I mean, every bus has got that engine. Okay, it's a million mile engine. Okay, and it develops incredible amounts of torque for its horsepower. The nominal horsepower rating for that engine from the factory is like 213. Ford really underrated it. And when I redid it, I got the OEM International Harvesters injectors instead of, and I programming the boot, um, so that, and I put a much bigger turbo on it. Um, so that the engine breathes better. It actually runs more efficiently, and it gets better. Everything's better. The starter on that is huge. It's a huge electrical starter. I redid it because they have new ones that have more mechanical advantage. So thus, it spinning that thing is insane endeavor. The compression on it, it's just a lot. Um, that's why it has 2 big batteries to turn it over and everything else. So in that respect, that's what it's kinda like, but get this, it's like with my photon computer, I'm gonna have to build like a 7.3, it looks like, to turn over a starter the size of the starter, which is the actual, computer. Why you're saying, well, why? Blah, blah, blah." It has six nodes and six indices, but they all have to be entangled at the same time, and then that's what's causing the teleportation process. So yes, the essence of the computer runs on light, the math of light, but the computational part of the logic and how that logic is transposed is in entanglements with teleportation. So, um, so yeah. So that's my problem. I'm trying to figure that out. I can't figure it out. I have to stand away. I've been standing away from it. I need somebody else to explain the details of how it works and the details of the problem. That's what happened with my SA3. It's the same thing. I'm sitting there, I'm trying to explain to John my problem and how it works. And in doing so, he said something and then boom, the light went off. And I said, get away from me. And it was like it was like a night and a half. Yeah. So it was a race to get it out of my head and make it reality. That's usually the way it is. It's I'm usually when the light bulb goes off, it's like that. I'm racing. I'm racing to get it out of my head. When will you all die? May 22nd? I thought we were all going to die with this insanity that's going on over there. Only because I saw so many tankers and other flights and whatnot, and I saw all kinds of troops that are being moved, built up on our east coast, and now I'm seeing all kinds of flights to Taiwan or whatever. We can't survive a nuclear holocaust, but I'm not afraid because I know that if God doesn't want me to die, I won't die. It's as simple as that. I'm not afraid of dying either. Um, I think the only fear I have, it's not really a fear, it's a regret of dying, is just seeing the development of my beautiful grandchildren. Um, and and also I really want I know that we're in the end times, and I want to see. I would just love to see the the the, the coming of the Lord. I mean, I want to be up there with Rick and Good Faith and others, right by the side of our King. And yeah, that'd be cool. Perfect to me. Um, perfect Swahili. I like I said, God knows what he was doing because everything is working for his purpose. So I look at it as a scientist. I can turn around and say, why is all this stuff happening? Well, if I had just this simple life, I'm on a couch and I'm playing video games all day and I'm not doing anything, and there's no problems, I'm not going to learn anything. I'm not going to develop any more than I was in the beginning of this whole endeavor. But because I've had these types of virtues, my mother's actually done a blessing. God took all those evils and made them good. I would not have the life I have now if it wasn't for what she did to me. I would not have my beautiful wife that I have now if it wasn't for my sister. I wouldn't have the expertise that I have in computers or anything like that. I mean, I built my S100 mainframe downstairs because my sister was stealing my caddy and Lomo money. That's the truth. She'd go into my room, and since the age of 14, she was taking it. Oh, she would use all these excuses and whatnot, but the reality is, um, I do not understand engines. I could sit and explain an engine in 5 minutes. It's not that hard. Um, it really isn't because if you've ever used a lever, have you ever used a lever, Rick? A lever, which means you have an object to lift, and you have to get some kind of advantage on it. So you go out and you get a big lever, and then you prop a rock on one side and you come down on it. And the further you can come out on it, the more mechanical advantage you have. Just like doing a bolt, you don't try to grab it with your fingers, right? You don't have much. You grab a socket or a wrench, and then the bigger the wrench, the distance, the more power you have to put on that bolt because the more mechanical. Now, you what are you get? You're not getting something for nothing. Okay, you have to move that wrench on a bigger arc. Okay, that movement to move that nut a little amount. Okay, that's your mechanical advantage. Pulley does the same thing. If you use a pulley, every time you apply a pulley, you get a 2-to-1 mechanical advantage. But you- you're not getting something for nothing. You have to move more physical rope to get that mechanical advantage. Those things in the sailing trade, we call them blocks. Okay. And in the old days, old sailing vessels, they used to have many blocks like this. If you use a wrench, you're using a lever. If you're using a screw, you're using a mechanical lever. Um, the screw design of a wood screw is a mechanical device. Okay, it's doing the same thing. It's using a plank. So, for example, if you want to move something up a stairs or something, and you don't want to go stair to stair, you want to put a board down and wheel it. That's that's a mechanical plane. That's a wedge, and that wedge is no different than a screw. That's another device. That's another invention. A wheel is an invention. It's a mechanical device. That's why you don't have square wheels. They don't work. They don't roll too good. Okay, and you have to figure that they had to move rocks and move something heavy, so they were taking the roundest logs and putting them one after another in front. So you understand if you ever rode a bicycle, you want the wheels to be round, not square. You understand if you rode a bicycle, you want a nice gentle hill. You don't want a cliff. These are all these are all things. Now, believe it or not, I can transpose them electronically into gates, into, for example, a battery. Okay, how a battery works is it works with it's basically an electron pump, and you can consider a DC circuit an electron pump. Let's get rid of the electrons. Let's turn it into water. Okay, so you have this circuit of water, and one of the water is going down this waterfall, and it's doing the work for you because the waterfall's doing something. It's moving something, and the battery is the pump that's pumping the water back on top of the hill. Okay, that's no different than that's how it works. AC, alternating current that's in your house, does not work. There is no electrons that are being moved. They're instead they're not being moved through your house like a current. They're being moved through your house in vibration. Okay, so that's no different than waves. So, for example, at your generator power plant, they're generating waves in this trough with this board. It's going back and forth to be hooked up to whatever. It's going back. It's generating these waves going down this trough. Your house with these power lines is receiving those waves, and it's putting another board in the water, and that board is being pushed and moved back and forth, to and fro, by those waves generated from the power plant. And you're taking that energy and it's doing work in your house, okay, to move other things. That's an analogy of the electrons. It's even easier than that, really, because it's the magnetic fields. And how you would explain that is put BBs in a plastic straw, and as you squeeze the straw, move your fingers on it, you squeeze those BBs out, and you move those BBs. That's what the magnetic field does. Magnetic field moves those BB back and forth, and that movement is then transposed into work, whether it's rotational work, whether it's transformed into DC current. It's work. It's what's doing this right now. Yes, I used to lecture at colleges. Um, I've been asked to do that again. Um, but if I have to do reaching down work, I'm gonna. Well, you're okay. So, for example, you're using a wheelchair, and sometimes using a walker. Some other times, okay. The amount of friction that's on that walker, why there's only wheels on two parts of it, and why there's stand legs, and you might put tennis balls underneath it or something like that, is because at specific times you want to lift up the back of it and you want to use the wheels to move it, but then at other times you want to put the weight of gravity down, create more friction so that it doesn't move, so you can use it to stabilize yourself. Uh, you get say to yourself, Rick, listen, listen. I'm getting say it, everybody here. I'm getting better every day in every way with the power of the Holy Spirit that God has sent me from Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Not explain. Well, you understand the book better than I do. That's for sure. I only for my I mean I get inspiration. Yeah, this comes to mind. Um, yeah, it's like this. His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he says to you, do it." That's before Jesus turned the water into wine. But um, that's what we should be with, you know, yeah. So whatever Jesus says, you get to just do it. Don't ask. Sometimes, um, like I said, I go back to the time I gave Alex, that power. That was a 12-3 extension cord. It was not easy to rig up, but God knew. God knew he had cancer. God knows he was actually a Christian. God knows he was actually in pain. God knows he was in stress. God knew all these things. I did not know them. I did not know them until later. I just obeyed. I didn't want to obey, but I did it. There's lots of things that God wants you to do that you don't want to do it. You're like, "Ah, I don't want to do it." I did it. And it changed everything. Changed my relationship with him forever. And it changed my relationship with God because then I realized, wow, you okay. He uses us as much as he uses evil to do good. So it's amazing. And through the adversity of my stroke, for you, an example. I mean, I was dead, yes, for 5.5 minutes, and I saw what I saw, and I reported that. But the rehabilitation, that 7 months, um, there was a lot of lessons there as well. A lot of growth, a lot of growth, um, and a lot of understanding. So, and an example for others who might suffer the same thing. So that was the other thing that I figured out. A lot of people were seeing my journey and they were getting inspired by it, brought to the Lord by it. So God works miracles in a lot of things, and He does them for reasons that might not be known to us directly at first. I got fat squirrels. They're constantly eating the bird seed, and they're getting picky. Water into one. Yeah, well, that's where I get. That's where I disagree with Charles Stanley. That's where I disagree with a lot of preachers who talk about how bad alcohol is and everything else. Yes, getting drunk is bad, but God would have without yeast, you don't have fermentation. Who invented the yeast? Okay, what Christ was sinless on the cross. Charles Stanley says that. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? Well, how is he sinless if he turned water into wine? Wine is actually good for you. Okay, like the wine I had on my 40. What did I have? I think I had the maximum I had was 2 glasses in a meal. It was fantastic wine. It was great. It was incredible. Um, Champagne, incredible. I think I had, I don't know, 2, 3 glasses of that. Um, wasn't anywhere near. I've only gotten drunk once in my entire life. I'm not proud of it. I mean, it was on my 18th birthday. My friends took me out. I had to carry them home, and then I threw up. And I threw up the entire leg of lamb that my mother made for me, and I threw up the 18 beers and kamikazes, and I kept throwing up. I think I saw a pizza I ate when I was 7 years old. I was so desperate. I made a pledge right there. I said, "Please, God, please, please, if you get me out of this, I will never do this again." And I never did. And it doesn't mean I never not drank again. I mean, I had a beer when I had, but I never got drunk again, ever, ever, not even close. You know, 2, 3 glasses of wine, 1, 2 necks of beer, maybe at a time, ever. If I drink a 6 pack of beer in an entire, the most beer I ever used to do was I had to drink a bottle a day, every day, because I had these stupid kidney stones I had to get rid of. And this Indian, if you drink beer, you'll get diarrhea. It'll help you pass these stupid stones. Did Yes, it did definitely helped. Oh my God, you don't want to pass kidney stones. Just oh my God, but better than them going in and getting them out. The catheter and everything. Oh, I don't know. It's a toss up. At least to put you out, but then they have to rip that thing later. It all sucks. Like I said, there'll be world peace when they invent the kidney stone gun. Anybody invents a kidney stone gun, it'll be world peace tomorrow. They'll say, please use nukes. Don't use the kidney stone gun on me. One drink, make another turn. I don't believe that because there's fermentation in everything, including in your body. Your body produces alcohol by natural means. So one glass of wine is just not going to do that. You have to get drunk. Yeah. In order to get a dependency on that. Now, once you have that, once you're an addict, yes, you're going to become an alcoholic. But no, not even if I have one glass of wine a day with my meal, my dinner. No, scientifically in the journals, it's proven it's actually better for your health. Less, you have better results on your heart. You have better results for cancer. You have better result. Everything. Everything's better. One glass of wine every day. Like I said, I don't even have that. I have, like I said, my 40th anniversary. I guess I drank every day, but the maximum was like 2 glasses, three tops. The most I drank was 3 glasses of champagne, 2 glasses of wine at a time. That was for the entire 24 hours. I'm 6'4". I am 350 pounds, 348, probably 352 now. I definitely gained weight on that 40th anniversary trip. Um, yeah, no. So, but freedom is freedom. I mean, it doesn't you don't have to drink it all. I'm saying it's not a sin to have a glass of wine. Okay. Ugh. Um, yeah, I get calcium oxalate, which are like diamonds, but they're not worth diamonds. Like it would be fine if I pissed these stones and they were 50 grand a pop, then I would say, okay, it sucks, but at least it's worth my suckage. I would say it would it would equalize out of my mind. Okay, it sucks, but I'm getting 50 grand for that stone. So yeah, okay. I could I could, or going through that and bringing a new life into the world. I mean, wow, right? But this is just a worthless piece of crap that they don't even want anyone. Like, hey, we got it already, yeah, but throw it away. So all I do is I hear it hit the toilet, and I'm like, and I'm crying. Tears are running out of my eyes because it's like pissing a piece of broken glass. And you just and then you get this. Oh my god! And it happens like 30 seconds to a minute later. It somehow pushes nerves to where it feels like somebody kicked you in the nuts. And I mean, like when I was playing football and I got a helmet hit that actually cracked my cup. I was That was it for an hour and a half. I was throwing up. I mean, the whole time I was throwing up, and I was in a fetal position. So I'm lucky that I was wearing the cup. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had my sons. Anyway, I want you guys to have a wonderful weekend, and I want you guys to have a great time. Please visit my Patreon page, share and like this video so that many people see it. Okay. And if you join me on Odyssey, I really want to do a live broadcast on Odyssey. Okay, there's a tremendous amount of stuff. I'm going to be doing a guest spot on a radio show. It will be on my channel if I can. It'll definitely be on my Odyssey channel. So either way, it'll be there, and I'll have a link to it on my Patreon page. All right. Anyway, there's lots of stuff on my Patreon page. Lots of footages of my son's last deployments and flight stuff. There's lots of Navy fans. Navy makes the best pilots or aviators in the world, people. Okay. Anyway, God bless and have a great time.